Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smashy Business Show. I'm Warid Ahmed.
And I'm Abdul Majid.
And today is Thursday, the 9th of January. I don't think we can use the New Year's excuse anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed? People mention it in everything. It's, it's the new year, this happened. It's the first thing that happened. It just keeps happening. But how are you doing today, Majid?
I'm good. How are you?
Me?
How are you feeling? Thursday, Coldplay concert.
Coldplay
Everyone's
today.
going.
I am so excited. I am completely geeked. But Majid, what's really funny about the entire thing is I actually got my tickets with my best friend and her sisters. You know what happened to her? Basically, me and my sister got tickets, and my best friend and her sisters got tickets. They got the really expensive tickets.
Oh.
Do you know how much it was?
How much?
9K. 9,000 dirhams. And do you know what her little sister did? Do you know what her little sister did? I know. You know what her little sister did? My friend is having a mini heart attack. This was her little sister's birthday gift.
Oh.
She asked for this Coldplay ticket. They basically also paid for the merch and all that. Her little sister actually, she went to Mecca. She went to Mecca very recently. She came back, a changed woman, and she said, "Oh, I'm not here for music anymore. I'm on my Islamic journey," and she pulled out.
Oh.
And this ticket is sitting there untouched. Me and my best friend have been running around trying to ask absolutely all our friends, "Guys, do you want to come to Coldplay with us?" And nobody is saying yes because everybody bought tickets because all the people we know anyways got tickets. So imagine the pain that my best friend feels to have a ticket worth 9,000 dirhams sitting there untouched. Nobody wants to go. She tried to convince everyone.
I remember one of my friends texted me recently. He came for it too, and I was like, sorry, not interested.
Yeah.
I don't like Coldplay. Even if I like them, I'm not like crazy enough to go to a concert where I know it's going to be very difficult. They have a whole plan in place. Apparently, you can't park near the venue. You'll park far away from it. Then you have a shuttle bus service going every 15, 20 minutes.
Every
so
5
it's
minutes.
a lot of work.
Every 5 minutes, actually.
It's
There's
5
only
minutes? Nice.
actually 2 shuttle buses that you actually have to book.
Oh.
One of them is the location in Expo.
Okay.
So the people coming from Dubai, you need to make sure you book your place. But if you're going to Abu Dhabi and you're parking there, you just have to get on one of the shuttle buses near the stadium. And I was actually speaking to my best friend, and she said, "I feel like the media outlets complicated it. They complicated it. They made us all panic. I panicked.
Yeah.
I did."
To be honest, not being unfair to Coldplay, but the way the very first tickets opened, I remember correctly, everyone was going crazy in our newsroom too. Everyone was like, I want. Everyone was in the line, and someone was at 500 and someone was at 2,000. But they created the hype so nicely. And I guess them retiring, stopping to continue making more music, that also adds to the factor that everyone wants to go there.
That's why
the
I'm
more
so
important
excited.
thing is, as soon as the first show was full house in like the first hour or so, they announced the second one that very same day in the evening.
Yeah.
And
it
then
makes me
after that,
think-
third and fourth.
And then fourth, and it makes me think that, you know what? All
They
these
knew
4
their
shows,
for sure, yeah.
By the way, all these 4 shows were definitely pre-planned. I don't believe it for 1 second that out of the goodness of their heart, one show goes out, they start planning a second one.
Yeah, because see, the logistics behind just doing one show is so much, then you can't just randomly after 1 or 2 days come up with 3 shows because venue booking, there's a venue clash, there is a possibility of venue clash, something may have been happening on those days. So it was already planned. Again, to be honest, good work to their PR and marketing team and everything that they hyped it up so nicely that all 4 shows were sold out as soon as possible.
And just on the topic of the shows, that it was actually reported that hotel prices in Abu Dhabi because of Coldplay surged by 300%. And a room at the Ritz-Carlton actually, like the most expensive one even reached 70,000 dirhams. It's absolutely crazy. And the amount of people flying out, by the way, too. Like I have a lot of family friends. I know people from Lebanon who are coming from this concert.
Yeah.
People who are coming all the way from India. People from all over Asia are genuinely coming for this concert. It's not just Dubai people.
UAE is central to all of them. That is why, see, in Pakistan, no one, Coldplay never played, so all the Pakistanis who can and
Yeah.
will come. Apart from that, Coldplay goes to India, but it's not that often like here in the UAE or anywhere
They
else.
never came here. They did come here before, actually.
They did,
A few
but-
years ago, they performed at Expo
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah,
For free. So
yeah.
whoever got to watch that, you're a
Expo
lucky
2020, yeah. I remember it happened in 2021. We just call it Expo 20 because the name was that. But more importantly, they're very near. It's just a 2.5 hour flight from the furthest part of India is even 3.5 hour flight. So it's very near. The cost is not that much. Obviously, if you want to live in Abu Dhabi on near the venue, then the cost goes up. But you can always live in the city center where the hotels are cheaper and
I
take the
think,
bus to Yas
honestly,
Island.
Majid, I really, truly think I'm lucky because, you know, I'm actually going to Coldplay today, like in literally field trip mode.
Yeah.
Because I'm going with my best friend, her sisters, my sister. We're all going to be in the car together. You know, they also have family that lives in Abu Dhabi. So we got really lucky in terms of planning.
Yeah.
Because I honestly don't know what I would have done if I had to book those shuttle buses.
I
That
think
would have been a complete mess for me.
It helps you that you're living in this country.
I know.
It helps
No,
a lot.
no,
Even
it
if you're
really
living
does.
in Sharjah, if something happens in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, the transport, there are multiple options for transport. You can carpool, you can take the just intercity
Imagine,
bus.
I feel like there's an appeal to it though.
Yeah.
Like hopping in a plane, traveling somewhere just for a concert.
Yeah.
By the way, I would do that for Taylor Swift. I would do that.
A lot of people will, I guess.
When I get the chance, I will do it. I will
Yeah.
hop on a plane to go see Taylor Swift. She never makes it
Natasha
to
went
Dubai.
for her
she
tour,
did.
yeah.
She did.
So we have one person, one example.
It's
who
the
went,
dream.
yeah.
It's a dream one day. But coming to our topics for the day, number one, we have Qatar, and they are really looking to help out Syria.
Yeah.
Now, they're actually in talks to help fund a 400% salary increase for Syria's 1.25 million public sector employees. Now, the interim Syrian government has proposed a $120 million monthly payroll, but needs external support. So what Qatar is trying to do is that they are lobbying the U.S. to ease their sanctions to enable this financial assistance to actually occur.
See, the problem with Syria, again, revolutions are great. It's the will of the people that eventually lead to revolutions. But what I think is that now it's time to build their economy, and it's not even building phase now, it's just the recovery phase. First 2-3 years, they'll just be in recovery phase. All the sanctions across the world, all of Europe was sanctioning them, UN was sanctioning them, US was sanctioning them. Only some of the allies of
Yes.
Bashar al-Assad, they were not sanctioning them. Otherwise, they were in complete sanctions.
Yeah.
Slowly and gradually, people have started talking about lifting those sanctions. They are still there. They've been eased by a few countries, but still they're not lifted. So the recovery period will take 1 to
It
2
will.
years, and everyone is pulling. And UAE is always in good terms with all the countries in the Middle East. So they're going to help with aid and everything. Obviously, you will need some kind of aid. Not in like monetary terms only, material terms. There's medicine that has been sanctioned, so medicine can't fly in. These countries are helping with medicine.
And their economy, it's really gone through a lot. Since 2011, Syria's GDP has plummeted by 87%, and its currency has actually lost more than 99% of its value.
Yeah.
And it's actually reported that 90% of the people in Syria live below the poverty line. So, and not just that, you know, recently we discussed it on the show, how, you know, before the fall of Bashar al-Assad, a lot of the liquid cash in Syria was actually transported to Russia.
Russia, yes. And the gold reserves are there. That was one of the stories that we did, that thankfully the gold reserves, which are there like 10, 11 years ago, they're still there. But again, it doesn't work like that now in the formal
Sanctions
economy.
do make things very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, imagine there was a time in Sudan where
Yeah.
a lot of things were sanctioned. Like we never, till this day, we never had McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's has never seen the light in Sudan. But just very recently, I never got to see it, but we got Pizza Hut, we got KFC, and that took a long time to happen. It took a long time for those sanctions to be eased. So the time that it will take with Syria, it might take a while.
just consider 2 years at least for recovery phase, and that all depends on other countries. Europeans, they have started giving money. Recently, we talked about Germany giving 70,000 euro in aid to UN and all the other NGO agencies and everything that's working in Syria. So the interesting part for me was half of it was for education and specifically education of women and girls. So that was one good thing that came out. Italian Prime Minister was here in the region. I think he was in UAE. He was giving a talk. He talked about Syria, that we're ready to lift the sanctions and we're ready to pool in as much resources as we can to help them recover. A lot of things, to be honest, will depend on how the new government will be formed, who will be there, as in what capacity.
Majid, just very recently, I actually heard that one of the financial advisors for Syria is a woman.
Yeah,
Just very recently, I took a look at it, and I remember there was this Western news reporter who had asked about it and asked after it, and it was so interesting because they didn't expect it to be a woman.
Yeah.
They didn't expect the fact that Syria is still catering to women.
The rebel government which has taken over, and now we can't call them the rebel government because now they are the government. Everyone calls them the rebel government whenever I read any news article right now, and I specifically want to clarify that they were not a rebel government. They were one of the groups that wanted Bashar al-Assad to move away, bring the countries towards democracy, most probably, move away from the dictatorship that was imposed by Bashar al-Assad. So I personally don't like the word rebel for them. I would actually say they were revolutionists, to be honest. They wanted to remove the dictator because under him, we saw what happened in Syria. The condition was so bad. I remember after 2-3 days, Rana did a story that $1 was equal to nearly 26,000 Syrian pounds, and now thankfully it is recovering. It's on the level of 10,000. 2 or 3 days ago, I saw it was around 10,000. So the recovery is in. $1 was equal to 26,000 Syrian pounds. That's a lot. And now it's down to 10,000. So see,
this reminds me of Germany after World War I. Remember those photos when you see people holding those bags with all those wads of cash because their currency
the banking
was low.
system also collapses in all these countries where all of this is happening. So you're literally carrying sacks of cash to buy even bread. So it's a lot of problem for the countries which are going through this. Thankfully, they have finally gotten rid of the person that was causing all of this. Thankfully,
However,
they're thinking openly.
Israel might step in.
Yeah.
There is a fear that Israel might
everyone is doing whatever they can in Syria. There's fears of takeover, but the only ray of hope that I see is that the guy who is now the head of the government, he's traveling to different countries. He is being invited by different countries. He's going there, having bilateral talks. And there was also a fear of Taliban-like government. The Afghanistan government, we've seen after the US left the country, Taliban took over again, which they were trying to remove for so many years.
But Majid, what's also so concerning about the entire situation in Syria is that we really don't know what direction the people will go in.
Yeah.
Because, I told you this before.
Actually, what direction the people will be taken in.
Exactly.
You have to always remember there's someone guiding them. So they should be hopeful that whoever is there now, the rebel faction leader, who I call a revolutionist leader, we should hope, and the people are hoping, that whatever route that person takes will be towards prosperity and not towards, again, those orthodox ideas that we've seen a lot in these countries. And even economy-wise, they said they're going towards free market economy, capitalist economy, not the capitalist economy that we always talk about, exploiting people, but towards a more free and fair environment where you can do business and take profits and eventually help people get jobs.
That's what I wanted to point out. You're saying that hopefully they reach this specific environment, but right now the environment in Syria, what I'm seeing, the photos that I'm being shown by my Syrian family friends, you see normal families holding guns in the streets.
Yeah.
And I can really understand the fact that for years they did live in fear of Bashar al-Assad's rule. I can understand why they would want to be armed, But I find it slightly concerning that there are many people who are just, casual citizens who are just casually armed.
No, it's fine. They will leave. A lot of them have put down arms and now they're going back to normal life. Now they're buying bread instead of bullets. That's a good thing. Thankfully, that's happening.
Bread instead of bullets.
Yeah, so thankfully, the transition has happened. Thankfully, they're talking about free market economy. Thankfully, they are trying to get on a path where all the other countries are pitching in and thinking about lifting sanctions. It hasn't been done till now. They're easing them, but they haven't lifted them completely because everyone is looking at, again, the guy who is leading them to see where he will take the country religiously, ethically, morally, politically. So as soon as we get a perfect direction where he's taking them, all the countries will lift the sanctions and eventually Syria will go towards recovery, and then hopefully in the next 5 years we'll see some nice economic activity. The recent thing that I read is it's a very interesting report that I just read, that they will have to rely on their agriculture a lot. They have to make their agricultural growth come back to normal and then try to keep a lot of things inside. If they go outside for help, start importing stuff, again, that increases your bill, the overall government bill. So the very first thing someone said, I was reading it, that they need to revive their agriculture to put food on the table for people, and that should come from within, not from outside.
And Majid, you know what I think will, but you know what I also think will really help? It will be Syrians from outside actually coming in. I read multiple articles of actually Syrian doctors in Western countries, and
they're flying in to help people.
Yeah, and some Western countries are actually afraid that they might lose their doctors because a lot, like the doctor industry in specifically the West is really saturated by Syrians. So yes, outside funding is not always the best, but I do think that Syrians who have lived in other countries in
they will
fear of Bashar al-Assad, they are going to come back. And I think that's really what's going to help build Syria
They need human
again.
capital to grow back as well. And my very first doctor in UAE was a Syrian doctor.
Oh, really?
I loved him. I had some problem with my ear. I went for cleaning.
What was his name?
I don't remember the name, to be honest. It was like 1.5 years ago. But I had a chat with him because there's consultation. I didn't have insurance at that time, so I went in and I just told him to clean my hair, and he was like, okay, I will not charge you the consultation money.
No, they really
so
are
they're
lovely.
very nice in that sense.
They are.
I
They're
see
very
600
kind.
dirhams only on
They're
consultation
amazing
fees.
doctors. No, really, they are amazing doctors. And for me, while I understand your point about outside influence here and the concerns it might create, I do think that all the Syrians who have lived in other countries, them coming in is going to empower the country so much, especially because they come with so much experience, they come with so much expertise, with their own professions, and to have that back in the country again, that's going to be absolutely amazing because, I was reading it and there were actually a lot of Syrians who, they had to evacuate Syria because they really feared that they would go into the prisons.
And we've seen the conditions of the prison. No one wants to go there, to be honest.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next story.
Moving on to our next story for the day, Chalhoub Group Qatar has acquired the exclusive rights to distribute and retail PUIG's luxury brands. Now, these luxury brands that they're going to be distributing are absolutely big. We have Carolina Herrera and we also have Christian Louboutin. Now, when I see this is such a great achievement. It's such a great achievement because fashion, the wealth in fashion, in luxury fashion, Majid, it's
crazy.
It is not to be underestimated.
These are actually ultra luxury brands. Louboutins. I was told by my wife the very first time I heard the name that even the cheapest pair goes for 200,000 pounds. That's like that was the cheapest price. And I guess now it has come down. This is like 4, 5, 6 years ago when they became viral that everyone was wearing them. They have a very nice red bottom, I guess.
Yeah.
So the very first time I saw this, I was like, who would wear white shoes with the red like sole?
And they're
She's
really
like, these are
hard to walk
Louboutins
in. Not anybody can walk in them.
Oh.
Usually they're around 3K. You can get them on sale, I guess, for
Nice.
1.9K. But you know, when I see this, I love seeing this because this is amazing.
Yeah.
They're not. It's gonna power Chalhoub themselves because of the fact that they have access to something like this. Of course, people are gonna come buy from you when you're distributing something like that.
Why not? And the story that I like about these groups, Chalhoub Group, Al Shaya Group, Apparel Group, Landmark Group, they all came to the UAE, they all came to the Middle East. Some of them started from some other countries, but usually the story starts from UAE, where they came at a time when UAE was nothing. Even Sheikh Zayed had like 2 buildings. So 20, 30 years ago, they came to the UAE.
Yeah.
They helped UAE become what it is today. They brought all the luxury brands, franchises to the UAE. And the very good thing was UAE actually helped them. One of the stories of, it was Landmark Group. No, it's actually Tony Chalhoub, who is the sitting CEO. His father, I guess, came to the UAE and he was told to create a brand or create products, clothing products, which had the made in UAE tag on them. So they were like helping UAE build their own brands like 20, 30 years ago. So that was one of the stories that inspired us. Like these guys came, and UAE, to be honest, they're very thankful to all the people that came to UAE, made it a home. They literally built it from ground up.
Majid, you saying that they made it a home. They did not make it a home easily.
Yeah.
The strategies that they use, like for example here with Chalhoub, by them, gaining these distribution rights to distribute Carolina Herrera and Christian Louboutin, what they did is, what's their branding now?
Yeah.
Their branding is ultra luxury.
Yeah.
That's their branding, and we see this. We see this in Landmark. Landmark actually owns flagship brands like Baby Shop, Center Point, Splash, Max, Home Center, and if you frequented these places in the UAE, in the region, what do you see? It's that common trend of what? They're actually all very affordable.
Yeah.
They're very affordable. I myself have shopped at Splash before. I remember whenever we had. Yeah. Oh, see, right there. Whenever we whenever we needed like an essential, Majid, for school, whatever it was, we go to Splash. It's so amazing. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
Home Center.
It's great.
It's very affordable. I like how that when these brands do come here, they come with a theme, and it's a very strong theme, and we see that theme applied across all their stores. And I see it specifically with Landmark, and they do it really successfully. Even in Max, their
Max
prices are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
They are dirt cheap.
10,
they
15
always
dirhams,
surprise
you can get
me.
a good quality t-shirt, which will
Really?
run like 4, 5, 6 months at least.
Yeah.
Nice. So the good thing is, they cater to every part of the society. If you're earning 2,000, 3,000, you can buy a 10 dirham shirt.
And I like how it's throughout all their subsidiaries.
Yeah.
It's throughout all their subsidiaries.
And the good thing is,
it's something that they stand for.
The same thing that you said gives me an idea that when you look at them, it's not just like taking a franchise from a brand outside and just bringing it here and opening stores. They've created their own brands as well. For this Chalhoub group, they have their own small brands. Then they also have franchise for Tom Ford, Jimmy Choo, Versace. So they brought franchises, but they were like, no, we need to create our own brands in line.
Exactly.
So they created Center
Such
Point,
strong
Splash, all
branding.
these things.
Yeah.
So that's the good part about
And,
them. Didn't sit on franchises, created their own products. So diversification, one thing, and then diversification in prices also.
And you know what? We're actually seeing a lot of this diversification with companies lately, and we're seeing it in Majid Al Futtaim. Just very recently, it was actually announced that all Carrefour stores in Oman, in Sultanate Oman, are going to be shut down, and they're actually going to be replaced with a rebrand, and Majid Al Futtaim is calling it Hypermax. Now, I specifically find this so interesting because of the fact that while it's not confirmed, I love how Majid Al Futtaim, it's accommodating for the region. Just recently was actually applied in Jordan, where they actually closed all Carrefour stores there, and they rebranded it to 34 Hypermax stores.
Yeah.
There's going to be 30. There's a 34 store rollout. So it's while yes, it's not confirmed, we can see that they're very aware of the region that they're in. And being aware of the people that you're with and their causes, because of the fact that Carrefour, it's actually French.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of boycotts over its stance, over the genocide in Gaza. And so we can
Apart
see
from
that
them,
it's standing with people.
France also has that hijab ban, so that's also France has a lot of problems which concern the Middle East and the Muslim countries. I went to Pakistan for 4 days recently, and this Hypermax story, this is not the first time it happened. I went to a store and I realized I've seen the Hypermax story when it came out in Jordan. I thought to myself, I've seen this thing happen before. It happened in Pakistan. The very first time Carrefour came to Pakistan, I clearly remember the logo was same, everything was the same. It was just called Hyperstar in Pakistan. And I remember at that time we questioned, like, this is completely Carrefour, its branding is Carrefour, the tags, the whole feel was Carrefour. And we discussed it, and I remember that during that time the hijab ban was going on in France, and Pakistanis were protesting against it, Muslim country, so they were protesting against it. So it was very nice of the people who operate Carrefour in Pakistan to realize that, and they came in with the brand, but they named it Hyperstar. And then after everything died down, the whole protest was over, France, everything,
Hyperstar.
they converted it to Carrefour. So now in Pakistan, you see proper Carrefour, but they brought it as Hyperstar. So they've done this
Interesting.
before. So now Hypermax, and most probably in Oman, they'll call it some Hyper something. So it's a very clever way of bringing the brand and everything, but localizing it to make people, it's not fooling people, it's actually just branding. So now it's like more like, okay, Jordan, your own products will be more there. So Jordanese businesses will be happy, Jordanese economy will be happy, because more local products will be selected and put there in Hypermax. So they've done this before.
They have. And finally, for our last topic of the day, in his latest video, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced significant policy changes aimed at enhancing free expression on Facebook and Instagram. And a part of actually doing this is ending third-party fact-checking.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, Majid?
The only problem that I see is that he's trying to please Trump.
Of course.
And another person who is very close to Trump, has Trump's ear, Elon Musk. Elon Musk is all for free speech. You see on Meta, every day he's posting or reposting something about free speech, and he's trying to kill legacy media, basically.
And it's so interesting because in the video when he was speaking, Zuckerberg actually said, we're trying to implement a format that's similar to X.
Yeah.
He didn't even deny this. You know,
Yeah,
he
because
gave us the
X has
answer
community
right there and
notes.
here.
Yeah, even something happens on X, if you see a tweet which gets a lot of traction, a lot of people will write comments on it, and it turns into a community note that a lot of users are saying that this is false, or this is this, or this is the background of the story. So right now they're doing it in US. If they roll it out throughout the globe, throughout the world, most probably it's the same as pushing the US agenda on the world, and it will happen in our countries as well.
It definitely is. And you know, Majid, when I hear this this statement of free speech, can I tell you something? I hate it. I hate it when I hear the term free speech.
I think it should be free speech with accountability.
I don't believe in it, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the free speech that America has. I don't believe in it. I do think that it's why their country is constantly in hysteria, because, you know, with people, what you want to do is that, yes, you want to get them to dip their toes into the ocean, but you don't want them to dip so much that they're drowning in hysteria.
Yeah.
And I think that's what America does with this idea that they're constantly promoting free speech. They're constantly promoting the spread of knowledge, all kinds of knowledge. People don't need to know everything. No, really, and I mean it. People don't need to know everything. I think that there's some information that if you don't have it, you will actually live a much more peaceful life. And free speech, and what's interesting about this term free speech, and the reason why I hate it so much is because, Majid, we've seen it with America. When they enter other countries and they try to influence other countries, what aim do they come with? Oh, we are trying to promote our democratic values of free speech. And do these values work? No, they do not. No, they do not. And I've seen it in Afghanistan, I've seen it in Iraq. They come in with this idea of promoting free speech. But is it ever successful?
Never. At
It's
least
never
what we've
successful.
seen in the
It's
Middle
always
East.
serving them more. It's always serving leaders like Zuckerberg and Trump and Musk.
No, with social media, the only problem that I have is social media, and which will eventually translate into the problem for AI. And we've seen that with AI, it's also happened that the guy who made the bomb that the Tesla truck went up with, they found that he took all the help from ChatGPT. With free speech, you have to realize, and there should be a universal rule, they still haven't been able to do it. All social medias have their own policies. X, the new one, the old ones, Meta, everyone has their own policy on it. There should be one universal policy on social media, what you can say and what you can't. So there should be something very clearly about racism or all the kind of bad things that you can say. There should be a universal policy. Social media didn't create it, so that is why we see so much divide on it. But I believe with AI coming in now as the new next big thing after social media, there should be some universal policy which everyone should agree on, that AI should not be able to access that information, or that information should not be in AI's repository. This guy asking for a bomb, creating a bomb, doing the calculations that if this is the amount of destruction I want to create, how much should I use, and this and that. This should not be allowed through AI.
And the fact that people actually got the news on this story.
Yeah.
Because can I tell you something? I was not aware that I could figure out how to, make a bomb explode like that through AI. I didn't know, and now people know.
Imagine
they know, and they have the ability to do it again.
I tried to write an angry letter to my wife. My wife was sitting with me, and we were joking with each other about ChatGPT, and I was like, let me see. I was writing a love letter, then a poem. We were just experimenting with it, and I just wrote, write an angry letter to my wife that she's not a good wife, blah 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 blah. And ChatGPT was like, no, you shouldn't write a letter with anger in it. If you want, you should go talk to her. So it was consoling me, consulting with me. But then when someone asked about a bomb, it was like, yeah, do this. So AI obviously is good. It's 90% good.
It's all
but
about your
according to
prompts.
Musk,
I think whoever that person is really knew how to generate a good prompt.
Yeah.
They knew how to generate a good one.
So the only idea for me is AI is the new big thing. Create a universal policy of what data should not be fed to an AI model, any AI model. And also all these social media giants, thankfully they're all rallying behind Trump. So I hope that Trump somehow, I know it's not going to happen, but somehow he comes up with this idea, or all the CEOs of these giants, they come up with a universal policy on freedom of speech. I would like it, you would like it,
definitely
but there
think
should
they
be
won't
some
match it.
things that
Sounds too
shouldn't be allowed on
utopic.
social media.
It sounds too utopic. They're not
Yeah,
going to do that.
it's
Because
not
at the
going
end of
to
the day,
happen.
what are they? They're
Yeah.
tech giants.
Yeah.
People doing these things, what is it doing?
Yeah.
It's making people actually use their tech.
Yeah.
Like this car exploding.
Yeah.
You think this was not amazing marketing
Yeah.
for Musk's car? A lot of people saw. And by the way, every single time my mother sees that car in the street, she's like, what is that?
It's a
I'm telling
truck.
you, people saw that video and they were probably like, whoa, what a car. I need that car. So they're definitely not doing what you're saying. It's very utopic, though. I admire
Yeah.
it. One day.
No, they should have it. That's the only thing. There should be a universal policy for social media and now for AI as well. Interestingly, our UAE AI minister said the same thing recently, last year in November. He was at an event and he clearly said that we need to develop a universal policy, universal rules and regulations for AI, because if it goes out of hand, if everyone is allowed to train their own AI, it will translate into disaster. So there should be a universal policy.
And I do remember Musk in the FII 8 conference in Saudi Arabia. He did say that there's a 10 I believe, to 20%
And he got affected.
chance that it will go bad. Oh wow.
His
The
truck got
irony.
affected.
The irony is crazy.
Yeah.
And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Smashy Business Show, a Smashy Business production under the Augustus Media Podcast Network. You can find our newsletter on Smashy TV, and do make sure to check us on all of our channels. Thank you.